It's all about dreams, desires. You have to have the dedication, the discipline, the sacrifice, and everything that goes with it in order to obtain what you want to get. If you don't have that, if you don't obsess with what you want, you ain't going to get it.
Anthony Mundine is one of the greatest athletes to ever come out of Australia.
Who goes 3 grand finals in one sport.
Mundine is on his way. Hilmaster's after him.
Who does that? And then goes win 3 world titles in boxing.
Mundine with a sensational victory.
I'm a bad boy, bruh.
In this episode, I'm going to show you guys some exclusive footage that I filmed of Mundine back in 2015 at his gym in Redfern that no one has ever seen before.
Let's go, Rush! Hey, this is Anthony Mundine, and I'm on Rush, so check it out. Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a special guest in the building. He's one of the greatest athletes to come out of Australia, Anthony Mundine.
Thanks, my brother.
Welcome to the show, man. Great to have you here.
I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
Fantastic. Well, my YouTube show is about athletes, hip-hop and motivation, so you're perfect.
That's good.
Just quickly, on the fight, in regards to yesterday, what did you think of
The fight really didn't live up to the hype. I thought Haney just outclassed him, was too slick, couldn't find him. He fought just a smart tactical fight.
And have you got a relationship with Kambosos?
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Think if Kambosos got a little bit cheeky towards you, you could still teach him a few things?
Yeah, maybe. I try to stay fit. When I get back to Sydney, I want to try to stay fit, get in the gym, probably spar once a week with the young boys and just stay fit, stay ready, you know, just in case, you never know.
All right, so I'm going to show you a photo. I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this photo. The location more so.
Location,
Do you know where it is?
yeah, that's Redfern, the old Anthony Mundine Redfern gym. For me, it's the first thing that came to my mind was it's iconic place. Spent all my journey through there, preparing for fights, ups and downs, more ups and downs, but the journey was crazy and it holds a special place. That place.
Now, I'm not sure if you remember, but back in 2011, I actually took that photo of you. So I've got an interesting story leading up to taking those photos of you. I was in Canberra at the time.
Yeah.
Got a car, drove to Sydney so I could come and photograph you. I parked the car in Newtown and got a taxi to come over to Redfern, the block.
Yeah.
And so when I got into the taxi, I said to the guy, "Oh look, I'm going to Redfern, can you drop me off at the block?" And he freaked out and was like, "There's no way I'm going to take you to the block, it's too dangerous. I'm going to take you to the police station, I'll let the police walk you in there." And I was thinking to myself, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably a bit over the top. I mean, it's probably stereotype, but back in the day when I was, probably at its worst point, probably drugs played a role in that community as far as a poison or in the community. So there was robbings and there was, but not in the day mainly at night. You know what I mean? So it was like a jungle mentality, so that's probably why he felt that way.
And so what's happened to the gym now? That got demolished.
It's demolished. It's a brand new block. It's all new estate, apartments and townhouses. It's like you walked into Paddington or something. You know what I mean? So all the brothers and sisters are living lavish, which is good to see.
All right, so I'm going to show you another photo now, and I want you to tell me what this man means to you.
Old Tanza, my dad, He definitely means a lot. My dad is my inspirator, my motivator, my guardian, protector. Obviously when I was a young fella, probably the man that guided me in my beliefs as a man today about no drugs, no drinking, no alcohol.
So have you never drank or done drugs? Never?
No, never.
I mean, I'm curious to ask you about that because, in Australian culture, there's so much pressure
Yeah,
to
and not
drink.
just that, and in football culture. I played rugby league, so that was all part of that culture. You know what I mean? But I was just adamant that I was never going to do it. And then when I was 21, I was my 21st birthday, and I said I've never drunk before in my life. I might have just one charge, you know, just try to see what it feels like. Everyone's like raving on about it. I ordered some drinks. I didn't know what to drink, so I said, they said you can have drinks like milkshakes or something. I forget what they were called, but I was like, well, I'll get that. You know what I mean? And then my mate of mine that I grew up with from my teenagehood, he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm just have a charge, you know, my birthday 21st. He goes, Chock, if you drink now, you drink again. You know what I mean? Don't do it. If I were you, I wouldn't do it. And I thought about it, I said, yeah, you're probably right. Nah, that's it. That I made from that moment, I said, I'm never going to drink ever. And then I didn't. I just said, don't worry about the drinks. I paid for them, but I didn't worry about them. From that moment, I just made my mind my choice.
And what benefits have you seen in your life from not drinking compared to your footy mates in the boxing arena?
Whole awareness of life. The best high is a natural high. As far as high on life, happy, content, to the point where people think you are intoxicated or you you must be on something to be so happy. You know what I mean? That endorphins and that. But just get to a point in life where you're content, you're happy, and obviously Islam played a big role in that. You know, I'm more content now than I've ever been in my life. Having that connection, a spiritual connection with the Creator of the heavens and earth.
Just quickly, going back to your father, I'm just curious because you guys have such a strong relationship, and it's something that I've always admired because I've grown up without my dad, and that's one thing that I looked up to in you and your dad. What other advice did he give you growing up?
Be a good person. Never think you're too good for anybody. Always uplift people and make people happy. You know what I mean? And if you haven't got anything nice to say about somebody, don't say it at all. My mum and dad sort of embedded the moral sort of compass in me. Obviously, I feel like I played a part myself as being the person that I was. I'm a quite shy, sort of humble person, really. You know what I mean? But when it's lights, camera, action, I have to bring out this alter ego, this personality that I was when I was playing the brothers in the backyard and we're competing against each other. That fella was the man, you know what I mean? So that's where the man came from.
Mundine said, I have the speed, I have the power, I have the skills to beat any fighter out there.
There's a lot of young kids growing up without fathers in their life. They turn to drugs or gangs or something of that nature. What do you suggest that they do to stay on a good path?
For me, man, even though my dad was one of the pillars of my life, he was never around because him and my mum split up when I was about 7, 8 years old. You know what I mean? But he'd always been in my life, but every now and then. You know what I mean? For my advice to anyone that hasn't got that role model in their life or a positive influence on them is to find that positive influence. Whether it's a teacher, whether it's a big cousin or whatever it may be. Don't be a sheep. Don't just go with the herd. Be a wolf, be a lion that's going to lead your own destiny and make your own choices, because life is about choices and life can lead you down roads that, if you make the wrong choice, you're going to lead to a dead end, basically. Jail or death, you know what I mean? If you want to reach a goal, reach a dream, have some aspirations in your life, there's a protocol that you have to take in order to obtain what you want, you know what I mean?
All right, I'm going to show you another photo now. Got a lot of photos. I want you to tell me the first thing that you feel when you see this.
It's my people, man. It's my everything. It's my passion. I mean, the Australian Aboriginal have been beat down and oppressed for centuries, since colonisation. This country was built on racism. The blackfellas wasn't even considered citizens until the 70s or something like that. There's a long, deep history of dark sort of past, and we're still fighting that today. They're still doing it to them today. There's still children being taken away. There's still plenty of work to be done. They're still feeding the blackfellas crumbs, while they're making billions of dollars of the resources of this land. People are starting to become more aware now. It's starting to be more fashionable. Back when I was sort of in my prime, I was one out. I was speaking up by myself, you know what I mean? But now that you got some brothers banding together, which is good to see.
And I mean, how was that, especially in your footy career? You faced racism on the field, and you were literally like the only guy speaking up about it. What was that like going through?
Yeah, I was taking on the system. I was taking on. It was David versus Goliath. You know what I mean? I was David, and there's Goliath. This system, this white gubber system, that the sort of power structure of the media, Western media, and they can portray and flip the way they want to flip it. You know what I mean? So that's why whenever people met me and sat down with me or talked to me or met me, they're like, "Fuck, we didn't know you were like this," because the way they portrayed me and stereotyped me to the masses, were like I'm a cocksucking, arrogant pig. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of that, I mean, the media has portrayed a particular image of you. How would you describe Anthony Mundine?
I'm just a cool cat, man. True, I'm just a cool cat that loves his people, loves his family. I'm just like an everyday brother. But in my life, as far as rugby league and all my goals as far as rugby league and boxing, it's never been done in the history of sport. Not in Australia, not in the world. You know what I mean? So I know what I've achieved, but that's competitive chalk. That's like the chalk. That's like the alter ego chalk that, you know, wants to be the best at everything. Whether we're playing cards, playing marbles, I want to beat you. I'm that competitive, you know.
Now Mundine. Are they going to get him? No, I don't think so. Mundine's over.
And just quickly going back to the Aboriginal flag, I mean, what's one thing that you would want people to know about the culture? Because there's such beautiful culture and rich history in the culture.
Well, the culture is really based around love, you know what I mean? Family unity, love, bonding, being there for each other. But unfortunately, in the Western world, jealousy comes into the foe. Envy comes into the foe, and when somebody's doing good, they're trying to beat you down to do bad. That's not just blackfellas, but that's just people in general. You know what I mean? So, family not talking to family, you know, like brothers and sisters or uncles and nieces and nephews. You know what I mean? Like, because Aboriginal culture, respect in the culture from obviously eldest to youngest. You know what I mean? And it's about that respect, but a lot of that's been lost. So that's something I would love to try and get back. You know?
If you're enjoying the content on my channel, there's also a good chance you're going to like my newsletter. It's a free exclusive email that I send on a regular basis, sharing what motivates me through YouTube, podcasts, athletes, hip-hop, art, and more to help inspire you. I've put the newsletter link below in the description of this video. All right, let's get back into the interview. That's the thing that I love about you the most. Obviously, you're an incredible athlete, but growing up as a kid, I love that you're proud of who you are, where you're from, and being outspoken and speaking your mind. Because here in Australia, you know, we're taught to be very humble and, you know, don't be too loud. Where did you get that confidence from to be this way?
I don't know. I think when I was young, like I was a junior. I was like a incredible sporting junior as in rugby league. So I made every sort of team you could make: Australian schoolboys, Australian junior kangaroos, you know, state teams, just all rep teams. Debuted at 18 in rugby league, my first grade debut. Then by the time I was 19, I was playing regularly. The Dailies and the Fitlers of my era, they were the ones, you know. By the time I was 20, 21, I felt like I'm on their level already. And there was guys were 26, 27. So these guys a few years older than me and had a few more runs on the board. But I felt like I'm ready to take that challenge, like a fight mentality. You know what I mean? Like they can't do what I can do what they can do, and I can do it better. Basically, you know what I mean? I believed in myself. So then they would never, you know, mention me the way I thought I should be, you know, mention them as far as in the rep teams and whatnot. I played City Origin in '96 because I was only 21. That was one of my best years. I wanted to be different. I wanted to challenge myself and try and say things that's gonna put a lot of pressure on me in order to perform. You know what I mean? And because I used to love performing under pressure. So I think my first statement was Daly, who's Laurie Daly.
Yeah.
I said he was running on old legs. He was only 26 and I was only 20. But I said, he's running on old legs. I'm the new kid on the block. Like, yeah, let's go, basically. And then my dad rang me up. What are you doing, son? You can't say that. I said, what do you mean I can't say that? You can. I just said it. You know what I mean? Like, take that back. I said, I'm not taking it back. I'm not taking it back. You got to see me. And alhamdulillah, thank Allah. Daly and Fitler, the ones that I spoke about and talked about, never beat me, or their team never beat my team. They never outplayed me, ever.
I'll give you the story. That's why I left rugby league. I'm a former rugby league player, rugby league superstar. My only goal was to make the national team. 96, 99, I was by far the best player, statistically, money-wise, and I was never given that opportunity to play for my country. But if you're Caucasian and coming up, you only have to have a couple of good games and you'd be thrown right into the mix. And the guy that couldn't take my position in the team, when I left the team, he was Australian 5'8" that year. So I mean, you face a lot of things like that, and barriers and obstacles you need to overcome. But I was very vocal in my career, very vocal as far as being political and speaking my views. That probably weighed against me, you know what I mean? And those that toe the line and just focus on what they want to do, some can come through, but it's a hard fight.
What sacrifices have you had to make in your life to become, a world champion?
For me, it was just mindset. I knew that from a young age. I had boxing blood, so I knew I had some type of talent. And when we were young, I just muck around. You play footy like from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. By the time I was like 15, 16, I was like, I need a break from footy. I just want to just relax for a year. While I took that break, I had a few amateur fights. I had 4 fights. And I won all 4 in Noumea, New Caledonia. The boxing amateur league just started. And my dad had a mate in New Caledonia, Noumea, had some fights over there. Wouldn't want me to fight under Arthur Tunstall, who was a racist guy and this and that. So we went over to Noumea, had 4 fights. By the end of the 4th fight, I just turned 17. I said, I might go back and go pro, You have to be 18. So I was like, I want to go back to footy. So I went back to footy and I started ripping up. And that's when I made my debut that year. From a young age, from a young boy, I knew I was going to be champ. For some reason, just when you have sort of premonitions about your history, your future, I knew that I was going to be champ. I just didn't know when or how. You know what I mean?
And what do you think are some common traits that champions have?
Just that self-belief, that unwavering obsession into obtaining something that you want. I never doubted for 1 second, not one moment, that I wasn't going to be champion of the world. Even went for my first world title in Germany and got knocked out in 10th round with Sven Ottke. Even then I was even more hungrier and more determined. Nothing wavered me.
And where does the motivation and the determination come from?
Most people, you have to ingrain that into them, like over years. You know what I mean? That's why like fighters like Devin Haney just fought now. His dad would have ingrained this in when he was 7 years old when he started boxing. You know what I mean? I was, alhamdulillah, Allah sort of gifted that to me. Gifted that mindset, gifted that self-belief, gifted that awareness, who I was, where I'm going, from a young age.
All right, I'm going to show you another photo while we're on this subject, and tell me what this man has done for you. Man. Yeah, bro. Yeah, he was a great inspiration, man. Malcolm was an inspiration to the sense he fought the system
for so many years for the African Americans, and a lot of his purpose and plight was similar to the Aboriginal situation in Australia and what we were fighting for. You know what I mean? On a smaller scale, but I wouldn't say on a smaller scale, but we're probably worse off because this is our land. I mean, he's African American in the slave system, and whatnot. America's not their home. You know what I mean?
You've had an incredible career: football, boxing. I know you're a good basketball player too. What's the single greatest moment, looking back at your career now, that you've had?
Definitely winning my first world title against Antoine Eccles. Probably the biggest highlight. The second one was probably winning the first Danny Green fight.
Oh yeah.
That was my probably second biggest highlight. And obviously my football achievements and playing in 3 grand finals as a footy player. Like think about it. Who goes 3 grand finals in one sport? When I left the game, I was the best player in the world. The best player in the world. How do I know that? I was the highest paid player in the world.
It was 1.8 million, right?
That's over 3 years. But I was getting 600,000-700,000 back then. We're talking that's 1.5 million today. You know what I mean? Like if you convert that's 23 years later. You know what I mean? Like who does that and then goes win 3 world titles in boxing? Like you can't. No one does that. No one. You know, it's unheard of. Not just in my lifetime, but in any other lifetime that's been on this earth. It's never been done until I've done it. You know what I mean? So, alhamdulillah, it's a massive achievement.
So going from having a lot of incredible achievements, there's also been a lot of hard times as well.
Definitely.
When you have those hard times, I mean, how do you go about dealing with that?
Well, you have to keep it in perspective, right? I was a professional rugby league player. The best, one of the best in the game. Boxing was supposed to be a part-time gig, you know what I mean? But I'm told you I'm going to be world champ. But everyone thought I was going to be back in a year or 2 years when I wake up to my senses and realise that I'm not going to be champion. But I won 3 world championships. And on the way, my story is different because I'm not like Devin Haney that started at 7 years old and was boxing every day. Was in the amateur pedigree, had 100, 200, 300 amateur fights. That wasn't me to become a world champion. You know, that's easy if I do that right. I'm learning the craft on the job, and I'm fighting guys that are world-rated fighters within my 5th fight, being Australian champion within 5 fights, fighting for a world title within 10 fights. Like. So if you break it down to detail, I'm a freak, bro. You know what I mean? I'm a freak. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm just saying, like, you say that to somebody and they'll think you're mad. Like, they think you go to a mental hospital. Like, it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a bad boy, bro. I should have been in the bad boys with Puff Daddy.
Do you think that people acknowledge like just how incredible
they won't acknowledge it now, but over time, just like Ali, they will acknowledge it.
Onto a different subject matter, hip hop. I know that you're a hip hop fan. Speaking of Puff Daddy, you've created a bit of music in the past. I'm not sure how much you keep up with hip hop and stuff nowadays, but
a little bit. I like Little Baby. I like NBA YoungBoy.
Have you got a top 5 like all-time hip-hop artists?
Nah, well, Tupac's my man. He's number 1.
Yeah. Definitely.
Biggie's got him up there. He's another iconic. I love Jay-Z. He's a bad boy. R.Kelly, even though he's did what he did, but I don't hold that against him. I just, for his music, he's a genius. More 80s, 90s stuff.
Top 5 rappers. What about top 5 boxers?
You have to have Ali, obviously. Changed the game. I'd have Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Roy Jones Jr. in his prime. You got to put Money Mayweather in there somewhere in the top, at least the top 10 of all time, just because he never lost and people don't give him credit for his achievements and who he's beat.
Now you've travelled all around the world. You've met a lot of incredible people. Who's someone that has touched you the most and inspired Anthony Mundine?
Think about Obviously Ali. I met Ali
Oh.
in 2000 at the 2000 Olympics.
Well, tell me about that. What was that
It was
like?
a bit sad. I mean, he had Parkinson's, a bit shaky and that, but just his presence was overwhelming, and it's pretty surreal, to be honest. Just seeing a great man and just knowing, who he was back in the day, like what he stood for, especially. That's why I stood up for a lot of blackfellas' plight down this way, because of Malcolm X and Ali. You know what I mean?
Ali would be your all-time.
Yeah, he'd probably be my all-time favourite. Not just for the sporting side, because he was obviously an unbelievable sportsman. What he stood for as a man, his principles and morals as a person.
Speaking of inspiring and helping out the youth and your people, what are you up to nowadays?
I got a couple of businesses. I got a construction, Aboriginal Indigenous construction business, MGM, with my good mate Ghost Durher. And I just started a NDIS, disability services business with my sister. She's in that space, serve our people, for the people, by the people.
All right, Choc, well, I appreciate you coming past today. You've been a huge inspiration on my life, and it's been incredible watching your journey over the years. So, yeah, I can't believe I'm sitting here with you today, so I really appreciate you coming past.
Sweet, my brother. Appreciate it, my man, and check out Rush.